This is Leviticus 26 and 26 in the NLT. I will destroy your food supply so that 10 women will need only one oven to bake bread for their families. They will ration your food by weight, and though you have food to eat, you will not be satisfied. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Baruch Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. One I want to go into, all right, as you see the title, all right, War on Our Resources, the Monsanto Takeover, all right. And I want to play a video, all right, that I got from the brother from the Mississippi camp. I believe his name is Ashamath. I mean, not Ashamath, Yashamath. That's what it is. Salaki, if I got your name wrong, brother. But he did a video earlier, and he left it in his in the comment board, the actual link. And I took that link, and pretty much I want to go off of that. So, with that being said, I'm gonna play this video in my car. There's no need to show you. All you got to do is listen.
So to speak. I didn't do that too long, but a few years. And so I have a pretty good connection to the land and to what's going on in agriculture around the world today. So I want to share a couple of those things with you. And I've just got a few minutes to explain this, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be somewhat worthwhile. My most recent book, The Evil Twins of Technocracy and Transhumanism, basically tells the story that that we face an enemy in the world today that is not political. This is not a political issue at all. This is another type of an enemy that we've never faced before in history. And this is a book that connects the dots for people. It's a very simple book to read. I wrote it for people that are kind of coming out of the fog for the first time, looking around, thinking, how do we get to where we are? What's going on? Why are these forces, chomping on us? Routinely all the way across the line, I've had very good reviews from individuals about, the content of my books and so on. The book right before that, my middle book was written in 2018, was Technocracy, the Hard Road to World Order. This was basically just...
If you have SNAP or Medicaid, you may qualify for a free iPhone or Samsung.
That is not part of the video.
Plus up to 10 gigabytes.
This was basically just describing the journey that we've taken for the last 45, 50 years. That's how long I've been studying globalization, to see how we ended up today, where we are today. My book right before that, 2015, was Technocracy Rising, the Trojan Horse of Global Transformation. This was kind of the foundational book, the result of my original research that I did for several years, actually, to come to this point of understanding historic technocracy to the point where I could actually write about it. And so all three of my books now kind of form a trilogy. I'm not sure I'll write another book on technocracy, maybe, but right now what I have is pretty good, and it stands as kind of the source, if you will, for all things technocracy and now transhumanism. Well, this leads us to this issue today, the war on food. In every one of my books, I talk to some extent about agriculture and how the wrenching transformation is taking place is affecting agriculture. But this is beyond this. We have a polycrisis, as I call it, a polycrisis of doom in the agricultural world going on right now. We have, for instance, we have a war on the land itself, where land is coming under attack. I'm going to show you a couple of headlines that make this point. We have a war on water, distinct from everything else, where water is being shut down for farmers around different places in the world. We have a war on fertilizer, which is, of course, the thing that helps crops grow. We have a war on seeds, the individual things of life that you have to plant in order to get crops. And we also have a war on animals, and that would include other things like like fish and whatever, birds as well. But this war that we're facing is unmistakable at this point. If you look at these parts individually, you might not see the whole picture, but when you take them all together, you'll not only see the picture, it jumps out at you. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's amazing. This is the war on food. That means it's a war on humanity as well, because without food, we die. And this is a pretty scary prospect. I'm not going to get into it, but some of you...
And honestly, going to this war on food, this is how they're going to usher in, all right, and make mandatory their actual system that they want to set up, all right, because that war on food is how, hey, if you could control the resources of our people, all right, you could pretty much make them bow down to anything, you see? And this is why we need YAHAWAH'S to intervene, okay? Now, at the end of the day, we're not going to worry about these things that we're going to lack in these last days, because we have YAHAWAH fighting for us at the end of the day. Okay. But see, these are the troubles that are coming to our people. You see, the sorrows, the beginning of sorrows. All right. And there's going to be a great famine in the land. All right. A great famine. Okay. The Lord is about to bring upon these people, man. You see?
Scholars will remember back to a time in the last century.
And before I continue, let me just grab this precept. All right, this is, grab a few precepts. All right, this is Revelations, all right, 6:3. And it says, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. All right. And this devil, all right, all this that's being spoken of, it takes place with Esau, Edom, all right, and with these other nations that conspire against our people. All right. The rulers of the world, the rulers of darkness that rule this world. All right. They all come together to conspire against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, all right? And the main one being Esau, all right? He's the one that takes the peace from the earth by destroying all these different types of things, man, all right? And like I said, a great famine, all right, is going to come upon the earth, all right? Let's grab this one real quick. This is, so let me just, in the same exact one, all right? This is verse 7. It says, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. All right. And that pale horse represents death. You see, it says, and his name that sat on it was Death, and hell followed with him. All right. And that all comes from Esau, Edom. You see, it says, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. You see, when you go into the NLT, it says, I looked up and saw a horse whose color was pale green. Its rider was named Death, and his companion was the grave. These two were given authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword, and famine, and disease, and wild animals. Okay, so a great famine is about to come to this place, man. All right, let's grab this real quick. This is 2nd Ezra's. Let me get in there, Salakia. This is 2nd Ezra's. Actually, I'm gonna grab it from 16 and 18. It says, I'll take it from 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. In the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? All right. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Okay, it says, behold, victuals, and that's the crazy part, that all these things are happening right in front of their eyes, man. All right, and they still continue to try to live on with life like nothing's wrong. You see, still continue in their wickedness and not, search out Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, so it says, behold, victuals shall be so good, how evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. All right. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay. And see, victuals is going to become cheap upon earth. All right. In a way, it's about to be raised up with a lot of inflation. All right. Because here goes these stores, all right, have been with the SNAP benefits being taken away, the benefits of the people, all right. Right now they're not able to buy as much as they supposed to, and even though they're going to give you back half of these SNAP benefits, or even a portion, whatever, all right, it's just a psyops at the end of the day, because this devil's going to take it right back. You see, he likes to keep the people in a frenzy. He likes to keep the people's minds, pretty much going crazy. All right, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Is he going to help? Is he going to not help? You see, this is how he gains, that for people to bow down to his system. Okay, so what happens is, right now there's a lot of people that are cut off. Some people are getting it, some people not, right? And then these stores count on us to buy those products, you see, and because the benefits are not being given out like it normally was, what happens is these things that are in the markets right now, the only ones that can buy it is the people that actually have money. Okay, but then at one point, when they see that they're not making enough money like they normally do, whatever's left, they have to bring it down to a certain price, because these things will spoil. These things are, they have dates on them that they have to sell it by. All right. And then what happens is these things come down. You see, the prices will drop down. So, victuals will be so good, cheap upon the earth, that they think themselves to be in good case. But at the end of the day, this is what this devil's doing on purpose, you see, to make you, for them to gain trust from you, to make you think that these things are going back to normal. All right. None of these things are going to be able to come back to normal, man. All right. They're just going to get worse and worse. Okay. They're going to keep on deceiving and deceiving more and more, waxing worse and worse. You see? Shalom, sister Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. All right. So it says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay. And the scriptures tell you, all right, in Lamentations 4, all right, it's better to die by the sword, all right, than to die of hunger. All right, this is 4 and 9 in Lamentations, and it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away stricken through for the want of fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. All right, and eventually, when that famine comes heavy, all right, that's what's going to happen. A lot of people are just going to pretty much go crazy, especially when you lack food and water. Okay, especially when you lack water, because it's not starvation that kills you, is more the dehydration, you see. And when these people don't have those two, okay, what happens is your body goes into a certain shock where you start to hallucinate, you start to go into, pretty much wicked thoughts. All right, and now they're gonna have to turn to their own children. People gonna turn to their own pets. You're just gonna be seeing people do some weird ass shit. All right, and one of the things that's gonna happen to a lot of these women, that wanted to walk in great pride in these days, man, they're gonna have to, pretty much eat their own children. As the scripture said, they have sodden their children, meaning they're gonna boil them. So that's what's coming to America. Okay, and this is why they're bringing that war on our resources, because that's how you have people come to you for the want of all things. See, that's what his job is. Esau is trying to have you come for the want of all things, bowing down. You see, where they don't even have to try to force you. There's no need to force you. They already put you in a predicament on checkmate. You see, where you're gonna come bowing down to him on your knees, asking and begging. You see, and because they as the scriptures say, because that a neighbor shall have no pity upon his neighbor, right? Because of the lack of bread and tribulation. All right, like I always say, spiritually, the lack of bread represents we know actual food, all right, but actually through the spirit, you want to look at it in the spiritual sense, they lack Yahawashi, you see, because Yahawashi is the bread of life. Okay, so because they lack Yahawashi, all right, they're gonna come begging to Egypt for help, you see, and the scriptures tell you not to beg Egypt for help. Okay, let's grab that. This is Isaiah, real quick. This is Isaiah 31. 31 and actually, you know what? Let me grab it from 30. This is 30 and 1, and it says, "Woe to the rebellious children." All right, they are very rebellious people, man, because here it is, the men of the Lord are giving you the signs, the warnings, all right, but they still rebelling against the Lord, all right. And it says, "Saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that go down to Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Okay, so now let's go back to that video.
The Holodomor had to do with Ukraine, as a matter of fact, where the means of production of food was taken away from the farmers, and there was a massive famine that followed. This was an intentional policy that happened back then. It was a massive disaster that followed that humanitarian disaster too. It was just absolutely incredible. So what I want to do for a few minutes is take you through just a few headlines that I have on technocracy.news, which is my primary website for professional things like this, and show you some of the things, just talk through them just a little bit to show you some of these things that we're dealing with. This is absolutely amazing. A couple of years ago in China, which I do believe China is a technocracy today. I realize,
and China is always the forefront of, you know, like the brother in the Mississippi camp was saying, man, if you want to know how the future is going to be, you always look at China, because China is ahead of things. You see, China always wants to be exactly, they're doing the same exact moves that America's going to do. See, this is why we know that this is going to come to America eventually. All right. But the thing is that because the technology out there is more advanced and everything is advanced out there, okay, you just have to look at China to know what's going to happen here eventually in the future, you see. And China, all right, wants to be so much like America, all right. As a matter of fact, let's grab that, all right, because he's going to bring out a bunch of things on America. Okay, so this is, I mean, Salakia, on China. All right, going into these Moabites. All right, this is back to Second Esdras. All right, 15, and this is where we at, 46, and it says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person." You see, because the reason China's able to make that money, because America's that cash cow. You see, everything that we buy, all right, this is how you know that all you got to do is look at America. I mean, all you got to do is follow China to know what's going to happen here, because everything that we have here that's supplied to us comes from China. You see, from our clothes to our goods, our food sources, you see. And this is why the war on food is starting over there first, and eventually it will move to us, all right, because they are partakers of Babylon, man. They are the hope of Babylon, you see, as the scriptures say, all right. They follow in everything that they do, okay. There is, as the scriptures say, that they have drunk the wine of their fornication. All these nations, all right, have drank the wine of the fornication of America, you see. So now they're acting just exactly the same exact way, okay. And China, if you look at China, all right, everything that they have out there is the same thing that they have here in America. They mimic it, you know. It's just a little bit more advanced, okay. So it says, thou art that are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and are the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretched, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. You see, so showing you that America wants to be exactly like America, wants to be like the so-called white man. Okay, and they pretty much have been, they're equal at the same time right now. You see, if not better. All right, and they have drank in that fornication so much. All right, that now America basically leans on them, you see, and that's how they make that money. All right, and then it says, thou hast followed her that is hated in all works and inventions, you see, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. See, and this is why, all right, these Moabites is going to catch pure hell, okay, and they're catching it already, you see, but in that time when the judgment comes, they're going to be destroyed on a heavy note because they have been just like onto America. All right. It says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. You see? Now, let's go back into that video.
Many just may disagree with me on this, but just follow along with me. China is an engineered economic system today. That was the heartbeat of technocracy originally back in the 1930s when it was created. But here we have a story that came out of Beijing. Very few people I ever saw have commented on this story. It is no wonder. It's kind of a frightening prospect. But the story was, and this is it reflected my headline, their new urban agenda, that the Chinese government planned to move 100 million farmers into the cities by 2020, basically kicking them off their multi-generational land, kicking them out of the only profession they ever knew, and moving them into high-density, high-rise apartments, cities that were built basically empty. They called them ghost cities a few years ago, to send these people packing off the land and into these cities. Well,
they said high-rise in cities and shit, right? And that's exactly what Edom is about, man. All right, real quick, just to bring it out. All right, when you go to Obadiah, all right, it tells you the same thing, that's their pride and joy. Okay, the Edomites. All right, this is Obadiah 1, and I'll just grab it straight to the point. Okay, verse 3: the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. You see, everything that they build out here, all right, it's the same thing. They're buildings, they're skyscrapers, you know, they're high rises, they're all built high. All right, and that high, being built high, actually shows that pride that they have, you see, because their pride is so high. You see, so when they built these things with great pride, and that's their pride and joy when they build these skyscrapers. It's the same thing in America, okay? Because they are like on to Esau, Edom, man. All right, they are like Babylon the Great. It says, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay, and they all these nations are like that. You see, at the end of the day, they all have copied the ways of Babylon the Great. All right, let me just grab that real quick. This is Revelations 17, and I'll get straight to the point. And it says, the doom of Babylon. It says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And this is talking about Babylon the Great, America. Okay, in a way, you know, just a little way to understand that. All right, we know the America sits on the great waters. You see, going into all these different people, these different tongues that are here in America. You know, you have the great whore, the Babylon, the Statue of Liberty. All right, that sits actually on water itself. You know, which is a spiritual thing. You see, and she's considered a whole whore that sits on waters. You see, it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. You see? So that's these different nations following after the ways of Babylon the Great. Okay, now everybody has to have, you know, high built cities, you know, habitations that go high, skyscrapers that, you know, want to reach to the skies. Okay, so let's go back.
To pay him money, maybe a little bit just to get started in the city. But basically, they had no choice. 100 million farmers, that represented 12% of the rural population of the entire nation. It was huge. And so what the plan was for them was they'll be gone, and so we'll consolidate the land. We'll take it from them, that's what it means. We'll consolidate the land and create a factory farming situation where we'll have giant agricultural firms come in and grow the food on the land. Now, what's happened since then, I think maybe then, you know, some of them did get transferred into the cities, but what's happened since then, China has pivoted to grow more and more food in greenhouses, giant, we're talking 100-acre, you know, hundreds by hundreds of acres of greenhouses that they're growing food in, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 levels, and they're minimizing the necessity of using land to actually grow crops.
And see, that's why it's a Monsanto takeover, all right? Because when you go into Monsanto, it's a major corporation that basically builds all that. They actually fabricate seeds, man. You see, all the seeds, when you go to a store and you go to buy seeds to put in your garden, all right, those are all GMO seeds. None of these things are organic, man. None of these things are actually natural. Okay, the only thing that you're gonna find natural is if you go to down to like these you go down to like South America, you know, you go to the rainforest, you know, where you see things grow wild. Okay, that's where you're gonna find your purest things. But here it is, Esau has the fatness of the earth, you see, and by him having the fatness of the earth, what does he go and do? He goes and destroys these places, man, and he takes over these places, and he knocks down the trees, he knocks down the resources that is around there, and he keeps them for themselves. They keep them for themselves, and then they give us the nonsense, the shit that's killing us all day long. So the seeds that we get when you go to your local store, okay, they're all made by Monsanto. Okay, even if you try to go to your local farmer, all right, all these farms are being bought up by, you know, Killer Gates, you know, by all these major corporations basically, and to the point where, you know, they won't allow you to have your own farm and grow things, you know, organically. You know, they want you to use their seeds. At the end of the day, they pay you top dollar for you to use their seeds. Okay, use their products. Okay, their pesticides. You see, this is why our foods are poison, man. This is that's why the scriptures say we shall eat the foul bread amongst the Gentiles and live, man. Because everything that we have here is defiled, man. It's all poison and is made to destroy our bodies. This is why we're all dying of these different diseases and pestilences. Okay, hey, everything you eat is got cancer additives in it. You know, this is why this devil got to be taken out of the damn way, man. Because nothing here is natural anymore, man. Okay.
But the farmers were not asked their opinion about leaving. They just simply said, no, you're on your way out. You might as well, you know, get lost. We don't need you here anymore. An incredible travesty of human.
Cinnamon wrong, and your blood sugar is paying the price. Let me explain. This isn't your typical.
That was actually spiritual, because that's what. But eating all this trash, man, that's what it got our people going through. You know, high blood sugar levels. You know, high cholesterol. You know, all this shit is filthy, man. All right, none of the shit that we're eating here, man, is made to have a better and a healthy lifestyle. This is why the scriptures tell you to eat in a certain manner, you know, and really that's why in these last days we need to be eating more than anything pulse and vegetables, as the scriptures say. All right, as a matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. All right, when you go to Daniel 1, okay, it talks about how the countenance of a person looks better when they eat these things and drink water. All right, let's go into it real quick. All right, where is it at? Daniel 1 and I believe it's 11. Get straight to the point. Let's take it from, yeah, let's take it from 11. It says, then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us posts to eat and water to drink. Okay, water. All right, posts going into the vegetables. Okay, and what do vegetables do? They actually they what's the vegetables? They detox you at the end of the day. You see, that's why we need our herbs and vegetables, man, to detox the shit that's in our body. All right, we got, foods come with parasites, which these parasites are just freaking demons pretty much, and that's why fasting is great for you, drinking a lot of water and, actually fasting your body, because it kills the flesh, kills anything that's in your body, such as parasites and things like that, right? It says, then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. Yeah, see, the people here in America eat the portion of the king's meat. Okay, whether whatever it is, all these abominated foods, going into this pork, going into these seafoods, that all is all an abomination to the Lord. See, that's the portion of the king's meat. He gives you all that wicked shit, while all these damn elites is eating good as hell. You see, taking all the good resources off the planet Earth. Okay, so he consented them in this matter and proved them 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. You see? So that's what we're supposed to be doing in these last days, man. All right. To have a better countenance, and we don't have to have the cravings that the rest of the world has. You see, these people eating 3 times a freaking day. That's not how you're supposed to eat, man. You're supposed to really eat one good meal, and then the rest of the time, you drink a lot of water, having these fruits and these vegetables in between, but really you're supposed to have one good meal a day. Here in America, they train your ass and your body to eat 3-4 times a day. That's why these people sit in the toilet all day. You see, because your body shits for a reason, because you're getting all the nastiness out of your body. You see, and these people love spending time on the toilet. All right, because of the nasty foods that they constantly are eating. You see, they end up. See, back in the day, in the ancient world, we didn't drop deuces like that. All right. Why? Because the food was pure. You see, the water itself was even pure. So when we ate these things, all right, it went to our body in the right manner, and it did what it had to do to our body by giving us the energy, going straight to the muscle and keeping our bodies nice and healthy. Okay. You probably, definitely was, you was dropping pisses. All right. But real water is supposed to make you piss instantly to clean out everything that you got. You got to drink water, bottles and bottles and bottles of water for you to actually go piss nowadays, man. You see, because the water itself is not even pure. All right. But when you keep yourself in that type of, alkaline diet and things like that, man, it's greater health for your body. Okay. Now let's go back to the video.
I don't know, whatever you call it, kindness. I'm not sure, but 100 million farmers, and that's their families too. That's more than 100 million. So you got children, you got your spouse, you may have other people in your family. Absolutely incredible. This shows you, from one nation's perspective, what the war on food and the war on agriculture is all about. Here's another one. This is an article. It's a little bit newer, but it has to do with Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka collapsed. The whole nation collapsed. If you didn't know this, it was a horrible situation. But the president of Sri Lanka picked up an idea from the United Nations that it would be a good idea to cut back on nitrogen-based fertilizer for their farmers, because after all, it creates pollution and it does bad stuff to the atmosphere. They said.
Oh shit! I can't even do that. My bad. That was my bad. I forgot I was connected to my Bluetooth. Give me 1 second. Just gotta my radio gotta reload. I was trying to save that gas, but it's all good.
Right idea. Well, if cutting back 30% is okay, why did just cut out all fertilizer? So he cut out fertilizer for all the farmers. Well, guess what happened? The food supply collapsed and people started starving to death, to the point where the whole nation collapsed, economically collapsed, and the people took to the streets. They stormed the Capitol, where the president's office was. They sent him packing. He fled the country in fear for his life because he has so destroyed his country, all because the president of that country decided that they didn't need fertilizer anymore. They just have to make do with less and be more responsible or whatever. What a stupid thing to do. But this is what we see all over the world. We see it in Holland, for instance. Dutch farm nightmare continues as government demands compulsory purchase of 3,000 farms. I think they've raised that now maybe to 4,000 or 5,000. But here's the tractor cave. These farmers knew.
Yeah, and I believe it was last year or the year before that, they had a big ass strike where they had all them actual farmers taking their tractors and they were literally driving down the road. I mean, it was thousands of them out there in Holland, you know, and they were trying to raise up against their government because they weren't allowing them to, you know, pretty much grow their crops anymore, you see, because of this Monsanto takeover. And as a matter of fact, now that I said that, let's grab this real quick. And Second Ezra 15, and I'll take it from 11. And it says, but I will bring them, Slakia 12, Egypt shall mourn, okay? And this is what's coming to America. Egypt shall mourn, all right, meaning Babylon the Great, America, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn. You see, the farmers are gonna mourn, just like they're mourning worldwide, all right, on the right now internationally, all right. Even here in America, you see that the farmers are beginning to mourn because everything is not growing in their favor, man. You see, and especially that you got, you know, Bill Gates out there basically, taking over all the farming systems, man. He pretty much bought out all these farm systems out here, man. All right, there's rarely any farms left. Okay, and the ones that you see that are still you know, surviving is because they're using the seeds of Monsanto. You see, so everything that you're getting is GMO, pure GMO foods, man. Vegetables and fruit. None of that shit is real. Okay, so it says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting in hell and with a fearful constellation. All right, and on top of that, of these devils, you know, taking over all these farms, you also have these devils that are doing a whole lot of what? Weather manipulation. Okay, and by them doing this weather manipulation is causing these storms. All right, and this is why these things, these farms are not able to grow the crops to the best of their ability. You see, because all these damn storms, superstorms that they're creating, all right, pretty much got all the seasons fucked up. You know, I haven't seen the seasons. I remember when I was young and I was a kid, you know, seasons were like seasons. You had 4 seasons. You know, you don't even got seasons like that no more, man. All right, you'll go straight from summer and just straight into winter. It'll be in the dead smack of winter, right? And winter is still happening in freaking June, still cold as hell, you know, or it comes late as hell. See, right now is the first time that I'm actually seeing winter, which you know, going into the what is it? I believe is the what is it called? The Farmer's Almanac. You know, when they go into, you know, they're able to tell you how it's going to be for the year. All right. It's actually about to be real bad because right now we got a whole polar vortex that's coming down from the North Pole, you know, coming from Greenland and Canada and all these places, you know, and supposedly winter's going to come early this time instead of coming actually late. You know, usually for the past, you know, few years, you know, winter's just been kicking in, you know, somewhere around February, you know, when they're really supposed to kick in around this time, you know, coming into early December. Okay. So we're supposed to actually be getting smacked with some major snowstorms, you know, even to the point where Florida, places that don't normally get, you know, snow, you know, down in the Carolinas, they're having snow right now. You know, certain places are getting smacked with snow, and they said that they're going to reach that Florida's going to reach high record numbers of coldness, you know, hitting 20 to 25 degrees. That's not normal for places like that, man. And that's all because of these man-made storms, man, going back to these HARP stations, you know. So everything right now is about to come a little earlier, you know, and this is why, you know, I did a video on that a couple of days ago. You know, pray that your flight be not in the winter, okay? Meaning that we have to imagine we have to escape through this shit in the middle of the winter, man. It's gonna be a dark winter, all right? Those that have Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man, we're gonna be good. The Lord gonna provide a way for us. But these people that don't have the Lord, man, they're gonna be fucked out here, you know. If they have to be making moves in the middle of dead winter, you know, you trying to escape in the middle of winter and try to get up out of this place, you know, it ain't working, you know, because you got all these damn, you know, planes is shutting down, you know, airlines is shutting down. So, hey, we coming into some crazy times, man. All right. So let's go back to that video.
If their nitrogen-based fertilizer was cut back by 30%, which the government said they were going to do, those farmers are out of business. Their crop yields would be so low that they would be guaranteed to lose money every single crop they planted. So they said, we might as well make this the hill we die on. We might as well just shut the government down, shut everything down, and show people how serious this is and how stupid the government policy is to take away nitrogen-based fertilizer. Well,
I'm really setting up my first ever home gym, and the first thing that I really had to get was the gym monster.
Push came to shove, and the government said, yeah, we're just going to reduce the number of farms by that much too. So we're going to force you guys to sell to us and kick you off your land. So it kind of sounds like China, doesn't it? Just, you know, we don't need you anymore out there on the land. Many of these farms were multi-generational farms as well. Not that the farmers were not bright enough to do something else. They probably were in a technological world. It's very technical these days, technological to run a farm of any size. Just imagine running those tractors. They're all electronic now. It takes a lot of skill to run them and keep them running, might add. But we see this pattern now everywhere. Canada has announced it's going to cut back fertilizer by 30%. The United States is working on policies right this second. As I cut this video for you, they're talking about it, cutting us back by 30% in America because it causes global warming, you know, and can't have that. So, you know, back with it, we don't need food.
And now that he says that, what's crazy is they were even saying that that's why they have to depop a bunch of us out of here, man. All right, unalive, basically a bunch of us out of here because they were even saying us breathing in air, all right, is causing global warming. You see, this devil got to go, man. The shit that this devil be doing, the shit that he says, man, to try to make an excuse to destroy the earth. All right, this is why the nation is gonna be mad, man. This is why they have. Let's grab that real quick. All right, those that destroy the earth. Okay. This is Revelations 11 and 18. And it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. Okay. And the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. You see, this is why they got to go. This is why the Lord Yahawashi has to intervene, man. Because this devil, as the scriptures say, man, if the days for the elect were not shortened, all right, there will be no flesh saved. You see, we will all die off in here, man. If we leave it up to Esau to run this shit for quite some time longer, all right, we will end up dying off in here. All right, we will all be cyborgs, you know, through transhumanism. Okay, because this devil he's just a goddamn fucking weirdo, man. You know, don't let nobody live in peace. That's why he was made to take peace from the earth, man. You see? And that's why the Lord created him, just to destroy this place, man. Just to destroy him and destroy this place. All right?
Food. Who needs that nasty old food anyway? Just cut them back. Well, we're growing crickets and insects over here in this other factory where very efficient. They don't eat much, and their protein is just as good as that good old T-bone steak you'd have on the Barbie. Well, okay, if they say so, right?
And now that he said that, man, you better know your Levitical laws. All right, you don't know your Levitical laws, you better go read Leviticus 11th chapter. All right, because some of us might have to be put in that situation where there ain't gonna be no food, and you might have to eat some locusts. You know, scriptures talk about the insects that you are able to eat. All right, let me just grab that real quick. I ain't even gonna read all the Levitical diets that we're supposed to be eating. All right, but I'll bring that part out of the locust. Okay, this is Leviticus 11, and where is it? You got the fish. You got, all right, no swine. Avoid the unclean. These you may eat. Okay, here you go. This is 21 and 22. It says, yet these may you eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth up all four, which have legs above their feet, and to leap withal upon the earth. Even these of them you may eat. The locust after his kind, and the bold locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. You see? It says, but all the other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination to you. All right. So, hey, that's going to be things that we might be put in a certain situation, man, where you might go a couple days not, eating, and the Lord might have to, bring that upon you. You're going to have to eat a beetle, a couple beetles, a couple locusts, grasshoppers. Okay. But understanding through the scriptures that is lawful, you see, that you're good if you have to eat that. And they even teach you that when you're in the military and shit like that, man. All right. Which none of us should be serving no military. Okay. But, brothers have, there's brothers in this truth that have served in the past, and the Lord brought them out of those things and they now in the truth. But, they teach you those things for a reason, because these people have to go out there and war in certain places, man. And they were put in situations where they ain't eat for days, and your ass is just sitting there with all your equipment and all your guns, and you're in the middle of nowhere. All right. And that might be the only thing you have to eat. You see, some locusts, some grasshoppers, some beetles, so know that that's a lawful thing to eat. If your ass got to eat about 10 of them things, well, you're going to be looking like a damn lizard today. You see? Let's go back.
Right. So then you have the headline that came out of Europe speaking about food that you want to eat. The EU now has approved house crickets, the ones you find in your house, and mealworms for human consumption. They're saying, yes, it's good for you. It won't hurt you at all. It's
that shit ain't lawful.
Great source of protein. You can make shakes out of it. You can use it as a supplement in your other food. And this trend is all over the world now. Let them eat bugs, they say. We don't need meat. You don't need red meat. You don't need, all this other stuff. Let them eat bugs. And
he actually right about that. We don't need none of this meat. Because again, what did we just read in Daniel, man? These people eating the portion of the king's meat. So really the meat that we're eating was really destroying us, man. Because when they kill these meats down here, man, they put them into slaughterhouses, man. They shoot them with all types of poison. Back in the day, we had to worry the mad cow disease, people, and then people don't even eat their shit cooked. Jake done learned how to eat like Esau, man. They like this shit medium well done. They don't eat it like real Jake's really supposed to eat. Shit, I like my food. I'm a cook, so I cook anything, and I cook my shit well done. Everywhere I go to eat something, it has to be well done. Jake now though they have taken on the ways of the heathen, man. So they start to eat like these nasty ass heathens, man. All right.
Easy to grow. You can create a bug factory, on 2 acres of land and grow tons and tons of cricket protein. Okay, no, thank you. I'm not up for a meal of crickets anytime soon. Then you have, for instance, giant company Siemens, one of the largest companies in the world. The chairman of the board, who happens to be a vegetarian, by the way, the chairman of the board, publicly and openly at the World Economic Forum, this last meeting, called for 1 billion people to stop eating meat.
Come on, man.
People to stop eating meat. Do you realize how many? That's a lot of people. That's a good percentage of the entire planet. And of course, a lot of people don't eat meat right now, not because they're, adverse to eating meat. They just don't have any meat, and they don't have any money to buy meat. And so, take those people away, and the people you're left with, especially in the industrialized world. 1 billion people should stop eating meat, he said, in order to save the world and cut down on global warming, he said, which is, by the way, you might gather my opinion, is a disaster or a doctrine that's completely crazy. But, man didn't cause global warming, in my opinion, and man's not going to solve global warming, in my opinion. But the only solution ever offered is to go straight into sustainable development, Great Reset kind of thing that the United Nations and the World Economic Forum planned for us. No thank you to that either. Then you've got, this is a great story. Then you've got the United Nations making this proclamation that because agriculture produces 1/3 or so of global warming harmful greenhouse gases, that they're to blame for global warming as much as anybody, because there's a few number of people, but they're causing a whole lot of ruckus. So the United Nations wants control over agriculture now on a global basis. How's that going to work out, considering what the World Health Organization just did to us? They want to control all of agriculture over the whole planet. Oh, thank you. That's just going to work out great. And, as I always write a comment at the top so people can have a context of what they're reading. But restricting farming and ranching reduces life-sustaining food needed to keep humans from going extinct. Bottom line. If we don't give people food to eat, the human race will go extinct in short order. What kind of insanity are these people thinking? The war on food, the war on humanity is absolutely unmistakable. And let me just give you one last thing here. Poison the earth. Monsanto's glyphosate found in 80% of U.S. urine samples. Now, this is just scratching the surface of this whole issue. But we know now through studies that have been done, Monsanto's glyphosate weed killer, that if you spray it on their crops that are glyphosate resistant because of genetic modification, the plant won't die, but the weeds will. That's the theory. And they have sold so much glyphosate.
And if you really go into it, the plant won't die, but your ass will. Because that's not supposed to be something that's put in our bodies, When you go into that word, glyphosate, whatever the hell they say, right? Let me grab that real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. When you go into that, all right, it says it's a widely used broad spectrum herbicide that works by inhibiting an enzyme essential for plant growth. It is used to control weeds in agriculture, landscaping, and other settings, but its widespread use has led to concerns about its potential human health and environmental impacts, where regulatory bodies like the EPA and the EFSA consider it safe when used according to directions. The IARC has classified it as probably carcinogenic to humans based on limited evidence, limited evidence in humans and sufficient evidence in animal studies. Okay, let me see what it says. There was one part. Yeah, it says, is glyphosate harmful to humans? It says yes, it may be harmful to humans as it has been linked into increased cancer risk and other health issues like irritation, neurotoxicity, and how you say this word? Endocrine disruption. Okay. Ooh, hold on. Endocrine disruption. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a probable human carcinogen, although some regulatory agencies have different conclusions. Commercial products are also considered more toxic than pure glyphosate because of their ingredients, and direct and prolonged exposure is associated with greater risk. You see, so it leads to cancers, irritation, your skin, your eyes, and hey, even me eating certain foods, man, I get like that sometimes, man. Be itching in the skin for no damn reason. Eyes is itching for no damn reason. And it's probably because it's in that food. We can't see these things, man. And they said that 80% of people that piss, if they was to take basically a piss test, man, that's what's showing up in their urine, man. You see? This devil got to go. All right? They're actually spraying Round, and that's basically what it goes into, Roundup. Roundup is one of those type of pesticides that they use, herbicides. And they're actually spraying these things around the main banks of rivers, creeks, all right? Because remember, we're going to be as pilgrim upon the earth, all right? When this time comes, all right, we're going to have to, haul ass to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you see? And because they know that we're going to go through those moments and that we're going to be pilgrims on the earth, they're actually spraying Roundup from planes, dropping it on lakes and shit like that. You see, because when the best type of water you have is mountain water, spring waters, right? And then after that, the best type of water will be the ones that run down creeks, down rivers. You can't drink that lake water. You can't drink water that's stagnant. All right. When stagnant water sits, what happens is you get algae. You get all these damn mosquitoes. Okay, stagnant water becomes horrible water. It becomes poisoned. So the best water for us to drink is that creek water, the river waters. But see, here it is that this devil spraying Roundup around those creeks for a reason, to poison those water sources, man. You see, these devils, man, is on a whole nother level, man. All right, it says neurotoxicities is exposure can alteration in structure and function of the nervous system, and even to our brains. You see, all that shit that they're putting in the food, all that it affects your brain. You see, that's why sometimes you might not be able to think clear. This is why we're supposed to constantly be fasting, and praying to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Fasting and prayer is one of the most important things with us, man, because that's the only source and super, pretty much superhuman powers that we got here on earth, to be able to be connected to our power. It goes a long way. All right. It says endocrine disruption goes into it acts as potentially interfering with hormonal pathways. You see, that's why you got little girls, man. They already having their monthlies at fucking 9 years old, man. Because all these things are being put in the food, so it's messing with their hormones. You got niggas that's acting like straight women and bitches, all right, because the shit that they're eating, giving their ass estrogen hormonal functions and shit. Man, listen. It says gut micro biome. All right. It says research suggests that this may have a negatively effect to the gut microbiome. All right. Let me see what a gut. I don't even know what that is. gut microbiome. Hold on. I believe if I'm correct, it's going into yeah, see the way your food breaks down in your body, it's not breaking down correctly. That's why, that's why obesity is so high here in America, because the shit that we're eating, okay, it's not breaking down and it basically just sits in your intestine and it gives you those guts. Okay. Now, me personally, I eat good. I don't eat none of this fast food, none of that shit, none of that trash. But even the things that we do eat that's good, you got to have in mind that, man, it's ran by Esau in his system, man. So they're the good food that we do have left, they're even poisoning that. The best thing you got going for yourself is you planting your own shit. If you have your own house, you got to be able to have your own little farm going, and even then you beat, because like we said before, the seeds is going to come from a store, unless you can find a spot where it's, maybe from a farmer's market, from your local, farmer that, again, is going to go back to the Monsanto seeds anyway, man. There's no way around it at the end of the day, but at least if you know that you're growing it, you know what you're adding to it. You're not adding extra pesticides or nothing like that. You got to see, these things are adding these pesticides is even bad, because you're really supposed to allow those insects to eat your crops and all those things. The Lord created those things to go all hand in hand when it comes to growing your crops. You want bugs around your things, because the more natural your stuff is, the more you actually have and attract bugs. When you're not attracting bugs, it's because it's not real. It's so GMO, But yeah, that's what gut microbiota is. It says the community of trillions of microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi that live in the digestive tract. It plays a crucial role in health by aiding digestion, absorbing nutrients, and modulating the immune system. So, damn, hold on, Salakia. Yeah, what else was in here? Hold on, just want to make sure. It was saying cancer, not neurotoxicity, irritation, or reductive issues. Yeah, you see, it says a link between the exposure and problems with reproductive performance and development. Men out there, they can't even. At 30 years old, man, they can't even get it up. They out there using products. Here it is, Esau, fool your ass and give you these products and give you he'll give you a whole damn commercial on come and check us out at Blue Chew. they'll have they'll have a whole nigga there sitting with two women, showing you that he pleasing these two women, but that shit is killing your ass. You know what I'm saying? And you using it at the age of freaking 30, man. That's some bugged out shit. Exposure levels. It says commercial products, regulatory opinions. All right, whatever. All right, but you see what's going on. All right, let's finish up this video. Call it a wrap. All right, there's about 3 minutes left of it. 4 minutes.
That's the theory. And they have sold so much glyphosate all over the world to complement their seeds that farmers have to buy from them, genetically modified seeds. They license it. Every farmer that plants their seeds has to pay royalties back to Monsanto for using their seeds. That's what ownership over genetic material is all about. So they pay Monsanto a royalty, and then they turn around, they have to buy the glyphosate from Monsanto to spray on their fields to kill the weeds and not kill the plants. Otherwise, other herbicides kill the plant too.
But it's killing us.
So the world has sprayed so much glyphosate, that's called Roundup, by the way, that's the generic name. So much of this has been sold in the world on an annual basis that the world cannot break it down fast enough. In other words, it does degrade, but not as fast as they're putting it on the fields. So now you have basically the entire planet has been affected by glyphosate. This is part of the war on food. They said originally that they were going to help farmers, they were going to help food supply, they were going to, like the United Nations says, they're going to eliminate hunger.
At its core, being an entrepreneur is being a problem solver. And that's why we're all in this room right now.
It says they're going to eliminate hunger. That's one of the 17.
And that was spiritual too, what that commercial just said, that we're problem solvers. Yeah, we are problem solvers, because see, here it is, Esau got the problem, right? But we're going to solve the problem by what? By having Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, you see? This is why we need to call upon our Lord, man, to get us the hell up out of here, because he the problem solver, man. You see? These devils is just committing nothing but problems and causing problem after problem upon the planet Earth, you see? This place is done. America's done. This whole earth is done. The earth is crying out to the Lord, man. All right? Once we get this devil out of here and the rest of these damn nations that's doing their shit, all right, that's why the earth is gonna rejoice, like it tells you. Let's just grab that real quick, all right. And this is Isaiah, I believe it's 7th chapter, okay, 7 and is it 7 or is it 10 and 7? I'll just put it in. The whole earth. The whole earth is at it's 14, Salakia. This is Isaiah 14 and 7. It says the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth singing. Okay. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us. You see? The earth is going to be at rest when Yahweh Shai comes back. Okay, as the scriptures say, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn, man. All right, the earth is even mourning itself, you see, and crying out to the Lord. The animals are crying out to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, get us up out of here. You see, every day you hear about whales beaching themselves, and all these different fishes just washing up upon the sea, to the seashore. All right, because they're tired of living in their own habitations, man. Here it is, Esau fucking see a bunch of trees, and he say, let me cut that shit down, And here it is, our bodies need the trees, because what produces this? What do the trees produce? Oxygen, And all he want to do is just knock off your oxygen supply, just to build his bullshit and his mess, all right, and his habitations, man. So this is why we need Yahweh Shai to intervene, man, so the whole entire earth could be at peace. When the righteous are in authority, everything is going to rejoice,
Development goals that the United Nations put out. They're going to eliminate hunger. Oh, that's the wonderful thought. Poverty too, but wonderful thinking. But then companies like Monsanto come along, and they were participants way back when all this stuff was created. They weren't talking about really helping humanity at all. They were talking about rape, pillage, and plunder of humanity, more likely than not. And they have. They've modified virtually every seed crop there is now on the planet. They charge farmers to lease it back from them or license it back from them. And then they put them in a position where they have to buy glyphosate and basically poison the soil and poison the plants to some extent, to the extent now where 80% of urine samples in the United States have some trace of glyphosate in them. This is a war that we never intended to fight, I have to say. Nobody had a clue that we're going to fight this war that we're fighting today. The war on food, on land, on water, on fertilizer, on seeds, on animals, and it's going from bad to worse. If we do not stop this madness, especially in America, there will be some mass dislocations, ultimately, of our agricultural system. Did not have to be this way. Farmers could have taken care of everything just fine by themselves. Leave them alone. They know how to grow food. They would feed the world. But right now, the interventionist policies that we have coming from our government, from the United Nations, from the World Economic Forum, et cetera, are all telling us we need to do these things in order to be sustainable. In the meantime, they're giving us a prescription, essentially, to destroy humanity. No, this is wrong. We don't want it. We can't say we can't afford it. No, this is going to be existential at some point. Well, those are just a few thoughts I wanted to give to you. And I thank you for listening. And I hope this is helpful.
This is wild, man. Let me grab this and I end it off. All right. This is Ephesians 6. All right. Ephesians 6 and straight to the point. All right. This is verse 11. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. All right. And this armor is this truth, man. All right. These scriptures. All right. Your prayer, your fasting. All right. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, you know, going into these demons. Okay. Against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. You see, going into all these banking families, man, that rule the world. You see, they are the ones that are causing, all right, are pulling the strings behind closed doors, man. All right. It ain't your government. It ain't what these politics is about, man. It's about these damn devils that rule the earth. As the scriptures say, that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, man. Okay. They are the ones that are pulling the strings behind closed doors on a daily basis because they know exactly who you are. They know who they are. And this is why the devil's coming down on you with great wrath, because he knows that he has a short time. All right. He trying to depop as many people as he can in this place, man. You know, before the time of Jacob's trouble. All right. This devil's about what? This devil is about death and hell. Okay. And see, our people have made a covenant with death and hell. You see, and that's why they're about to be trodden like the mire in the streets, you know, because you followed after this damn devil. All right. And here it is. The devil is showing his horns on a daily basis. And you niggas is still trying. Now you got niggas trying to save them still. You got niggas just trying to say that these devils could be saved. Why the fuck would you want to save any of these damn devils? You know, if all they're doing is destroying our families, man, destroying our people. Okay, on a daily basis, man. So, you know, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against these principalities, these powers, and against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay, this is why this devil has to be eradicated off the planet Earth. Okay, and that's what eventually, all right, is going to happen for everything that he's done. He's destroyed it. Everything that Esau touches, all right, literally he destroys it. Okay, because see, he himself is destroyed. Matter of fact, let me grab that. All right. How's it go? I got a precept right in my head. Yeah, this is Ecclesiasticus 14 and 5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. You see? So this devil hates himself, you know? So if he hates himself, what the hell can he do for you that's going to benefit you, man? You see? All he going to do is try to speak sweetly with his lips, right? But he imagined how to throw thee into a pit, you know? He's not satisfied with blood. He want to take here it is. The Lord gave him the fatness of the earth, gave him the, you know, he gave him the blessing of the sword, and this nigga wants more. He not satisfied with blood. Bloodshed is not enough, to the point where he wants to play the role of the Lord. You know, he want to take he want to take your body and turn into a damn cyborg, man. He want to be able to tap into your mind, into your thoughts. Man, you can't make this truth up, man. All right. So again, 14 and 5 in Ecclesiasticus, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he do good? Okay. He shall not take pleasure in his own goods. All right. Habakkuk, all right, 2 and 5 tells you what? All right, that he's not a keeper at home. This nigga will shit where he literally sits at, man, in his own backyard. And literally just throw himself in it. Okay, this is why we got to constantly pray, you know, a Bible ball, that the Lord come and just take this place out yesterday, you know. So hey, that's pretty much the point. So Lord willing, you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, call Haloyim La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahawashi. Your sisters continue to stay, silence. All right, learning in silence, and you're gonna be all right. And the water sister, Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, Barakatah. All right, Shalom.